All right, well, welcome to class. I have a special guest lecturer that will be with us this semester, and it's a privilege to have him. This is Gabriele Carboni. So you've heard of Ferrari, and you've heard of Lamborghini, and you may have heard of Versace, but you will soon hear of Carboni. I want to welcome him to class. He is the creator of the Marketing Distinguo, marketing strategy, but also an award-winning digital entrepreneur creating and that's a physical product as well. So I don't want to take away too much, but Gabriel, thank you so much for joining us in class. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Kind of tell us what your career path has been, and what are you working on now, and what do we get to hear from you this semester?
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me. Well, actually, I used to live very near Maranello, where Ferrari was born, and I also used to be at the Ferrari school for my high school. They have an high school here in Modena. And that's actually part of the story, because I happened to fail in the second year of my first, let's say, high school. I didn't have a method in my studying. Actually, I was focusing more on recreation than school. Maybe a lot of people also in the US do that, but anyway, I was in a scientific high school. So I moved to the Ferrari school, which is a professional school. So we can say it's lower level. And in any case, I had to take an entrance exam. Obviously, I didn't study very much for that exam. Then after the exam, my mother, I called home. I called my mother. She asked me how the exam went, and I burst into tears because, not because I was afraid the exam went wrong, but actually because I didn't know what to do in my life. I went to the high school, the scientific high school, because my parents wanted that, and then I didn't know what to do, so I dropped that and trying to this professional Ferrari school, because my father used to run a garage, or anyway a repair car business. So I had the difficulty to understand what to do in my life. After the high school, I found a job as a computer technician in a small shop, which is what I wanted. Actually, before that, I went to the university, but the same problem. I didn't have a method for my studying, so I dropped it. I was good with the computer, so I managed that computer shop after just 1 year, I guess, if I well remember. I later found myself organizing the IT department and also creating the website and drafting digital promotion strategy for a couple of companies after the computer shop. And it looks like the gravity of marketing was attracting me as if I were its moon, but I still didn't have a clear idea at that time. Maybe if I would went to the marketing university at the beginning, it would be different. But anyway, I founded then Vivo, the company I'm working with now, with 2 business partners. We are focused on internet, websites, social media, especially for companies operating abroad. So I started to self-teaching myself about marketing, advertising, and sales. Also with the main book, the Marketing Manager book by Philip Kotler, which I happened to meet, and I'm still in touch with him, and it's really a great person to meet if you love marketing. I started writing a blog and published my first book, which is only in Italian, Web Strategies for Foreign Markets. Then I defined, while I was writing that book, the visual communication planner, so the marketing canvas you are going to study. Now it is downloaded nearly by 20,000 professionals and companies worldwide, so it's becoming something interesting for everyone. then I felt like I needed some training, some piece of paper at least, and I enrolled at the MIT Executive Program. It's an online executive program on digital business strategy, and maybe I still the only Italian who have completed it. And then I came up with the idea of the Marketing Distinguo, which is a concept, but also a method and a card deck to answer the question, why should I buy from you? In that case, I tried to have a Kickstarter campaign, a crowdfunding campaign last year. Yes, I guess it was in March last year. It was a small campaign of around 1,500 euros, but it was successful. It was overfunded like 150%, I guess. And also the card deck was awarded at the Digital Enterprise Show in Madrid. It's not last year, it's 2019. Yeah. And awarded as one of the 3 best marketing innovation of that year. So it went really good. I'm passionate about strategic communication, and also I'm attending the Giorgio Nardone's Master in Italy. Giorgio Nardone was taught by Paul Wathorick in the US, so it's the most important professional about strategic communication. And now I'm here. I'm writing the book. Actually, I just finished the book about the visual communication planner. So I hope that this tool can help companies, but also students to define the digital strategy.
Thank you very much. That was a great snapshot of kind of the journey. I know in a lot of my conversations with students, many of them, I would say, could still identify with what you were feeling when you were in your high school years of, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do with my life. And I think that probably is a big difference between kind of American and European schooling, is that a lot of times I know in those high school years, you do have to kind of pick your trade, pick your route and kind of go. And America, sometimes we get a little bit longer, we get into college before that university time, before people really wrestle with the real deciding, I've got to make that firm decision of what I want to do in life. So I can only imagine, yeah, that the extent of that crisis of trying to feel like, who am I? What do I want to do? I've been told by this school I'm a failure and I don't want to disappoint my parents. There's so much going on, and you've obviously been able to master that. We're kind of mastering each phase where you're at, going from the computer shop to making the computer shop as good as you can make it, to going on and joining with some other people and going out on your own and doing something and launching a new product. I mean, we both know the fate of new products is not always that great. A lot of products fail. So to get a product to market that there was a good response to, and then so in this journey with you doing marketing consulting with other companies, you've seen this pattern again and again and again in the things that they're doing, and that's really what led you to the development of the Marketing Distinguo program. Is that right?
Yeah, true. Because when I was sitting in front of the entrepreneurs and asking, okay, good, we have a good goal for the strategy, you have content, we have everything, there is the budget, but why people should buy from you? And then the entrepreneurs or marketing manager, anyone, they was like, I don't know. Why? Because we are the best. Of course you are the best, but tell me why. Mm-hmm. So I started to look at some framework to help the entrepreneurs to understand, because if you are a company that works, I don't know, even for 10 years, 20 years, if you are in the market since 50 years, for sure you have something different from the competition, because if you don't, you close.
So so what you're like, it didn't really matter if they could have been in business just starting. They could have been in business for 5 years, 20 years. There was a bunch of your clients that couldn't answer that question. They
almost all.
Which is as students, I mean, I hope that really sets in to realize that even successful business people really don't know what they're doing when it comes to, they're still kind of stumbling through, and sometimes they hit the right market at the right time and they just kind of get swept along, but it wasn't anything that they really did. It was just a really good opportunity at the right time, and that's a part of it. Then there's others that really work really hard and they figure it out. So if it comes too fast, that's sometimes not a blessing. That can be a bit of a curse because you got somewhere, you don't know how you got there, and that's like, that's not been your career. Your career has been, you've been kind of scraping and fighting to get to where you're at, and where you're at is built on all these years of experience and knowledge and helping other people to become more successful in what they're doing. So this framework that you're going to be leading us through isn't just, here's a new business fad, here's something cool that I want to put out there. This is something that's been tried and tested and been put into practice with lots and lots of entrepreneurs and marketing managers.
Yes, and I'm still using it every day. So
yeah, no, it's been fantastic.
It's not something I just dropped there.
No, I mean, because we came across each other through Twitter, and I looked over what you created. And so as a marketing professor, I get marketing textbooks sent all the time. I get the way marketing's been taught really hasn't been changed, I would say, for probably 40 years. It's been about the same. It's, here's this plan, it's 30 to 50 pages long. By the time you get into page 5, you forgot what was on page 1. You get into page 27, you're like, I don't even know where I am anymore. You just get lost. And I think that's what's been, so in the entrepreneurship startup courses, in the entrepreneurship startup education, and just being a good entrepreneur, having something simple that's adaptable, you can see in front of you. So the business model canvas was really revolutionary because it solved the same problem in the business startup space. Because it was, here's a business plan, write a 50-page business plan, and now you're ready to go. And it's not true, it's not effective, it doesn't work very well. So I haven't seen anything in the marketing space that's the equivalent of what you're creating and what you've done. And that's why I thought this would be such a great fit for a class, to be able to take a topic which is very broad. I mean, there's very few things that marketing does not impact. As I think about it, the only thing is really about HR, but even HR has to promote a message internally. So, I mean, every aspect of an organization is doing marketing functions somehow. So it's a very broad discipline, and trying to take such a very broad discipline and to bring it into, let's master this thing in 3 months, is pretty bold to try to accomplish. So having a simple, well, I'll say simple, but doesn't mean that it's easy, because there's a lot of work that goes into doing this well. What are some of the challenges you've seen with people that are trying to do this method?
Well, I think that the main challenge is that usually people, we can say entrepreneurs, but even marketing managers or marketing consultants, they focus only on channels and activities without looking at the whole, in this case is a mountain, but the whole strategy. So if you don't know your goal and you're just going through, okay, I'm opening the new social media, I'm opening a TikTok account. Why? Why are you opening TikTok? What are you going to share on TikTok? How will you measure it? So if you just focus on the channels and the activity, and this is the biggest challenge, I guess, because everyone tells us, okay, you need to have a new e-commerce, you need to have a new website, you need to have social media, you need to build a newsletter, you need to write a blog. Why should I do everything? Because it's time or budget going away.
It's like, if I set off to build a house and I call up a contractor and they're like, oh, you need to buy a saw, and you need to buy a drill, you need to buy, and they throw all these tools, like, all right, fantastic, now you're ready to go. They're like, well, I've got tools, but I have no idea what I'm doing. How am I supposed to build a house just by be given the tools? Like, because we see home builders use tools. So, well, home builders use tools, I should go get tools. So you have tools, but you still have only a piece of what you need to actually do the job of actually constructing an entire house. I mean, like, I can't think of a better analogy to be able to say, like, you've got to look at everything. You've got to look at your permits, and you got to look at the land, and you got to look at what are you going to use the house for, and what colors. All these things are a part of it before you ever touch the tool, because all those things you described, all the social media and the website, those are tools that we use to attract people, to tell them that message, like, this is why you should buy. But if we don't know that, It doesn't matter what tool you have. You could have the best tool or the cheapest tool, and it really wouldn't matter.
Yeah, true story. Also, if you look at the house analogy, once you have the project planned, you know also the people you need to build the project, to build the house, the time you need, and the budget you need. So if you have a project, everything comes clear. If you don't, you're just starting to build a house, and maybe you
Maybe it'll work.
maybe it works, but
there'll be a lot of mistakes along the way, and that's and that is a marketing plan. So when people have traditionally focused on building this big extensive marketing plan document, we're going to get to there. That is the end result when you go through this process. When you do the work, you have all the information you need to actually create that formalized plan that traditional marketing and traditional marketing education thinks and talks about. It's there, but you now conceptually know what it is. It's rather than just having a plan, there's the operating manual for the Ferrari, and then there's actually driving a Ferrari. And those are different worlds. I can read it all I want, but unless I'm in the seat, feeling the leather and revving up the engine, it's a totally different experience. And I think that's what I expect the students will be able to get by working through your content this semester, is to actually get in the driver's seat and start to think about what it's going to be like taking those curves and actually getting their business up and running with the message of very clearly saying, like, this is why I'm going to be successful, and this is why customers will want to talk to me.
No, it is true, because if you let's take the Ferrari, if you don't know how to dose the power of the engine, you end up your journey very, very fast.
Yeah.
And it's the same with social media or advertising, or actually any kind of advertising. You can put a lot of money in social media, in web advertising, or even on TV, but if you don't know why you are using that money and how you can dose the money, for example, in the web, is very easy, because you have a daily budget. So it's not enough to put 1,000 euros of daily budget. You can start with 10 and measure and see if you are obtaining your goal, and then you know if and why you need more money for the daily budget.
So testing, thinking through, being smart about what you're doing. Gabriel, we get the pleasure of getting to go through the entire Marketing Distinguo framework, the VCP, the Visual Communication Planner, this semester. If you only got to speak to my class one time, what would be the one thing, the most important thing you'd want them to know?
Well, I guess it would be about the Marketing Distinguo, because if you know why and how your product is different, and it's never about price. So if you know the concrete characteristics that give value to the customer, and your product is unique, or service is unique in those characteristics, the rest of the marketing strategy becomes very easy, because you have something that is different and will sell. Then you have to position it in price and delivery and the 4 Ps, of course. But if you already have something different, then the rest of the strategy is very easy.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, thank you very much. We are looking forward to going through the Visual Communication Planner. And if there's any good ones, ones that aren't too embarrassing, I'll send them your way so you can kind of see the results. So that's the challenge to you guys watching. Do some great work. Do something that Gabriel can be proud of, that he's led you to a successful visual communication planning framework and a fantastic Marketing Distinguo. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to having you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and good luck with your course.